We are in Cape Town. At the moment, we're at the Cape Diamond Hotel, which has been hosting us. So we're chatting to 4 young women. We want to know, firstly, are they even thinking about the upcoming election? Are they even thinking about what they're going to be doing on the 8th of May? And then we also want to know about what do they think of the role of women in politics? What's their perspective on the role of women in politics? But I'm not alone. I'm joined today by the fabulous White Talks anchor, Busisiwe Gumede.
Thank you so much, Iveka. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, this is a broadcast that is in partnership with both eNCA and YFM. So I'm very excited to be here and, of course, to introduce you to a panel that is well versed in today's discussion. First up would be Namhla Monakali. She was, of course, born in 1996 and not registered to vote. Pretty interested in hearing her, her views on what to expect in the upcoming May 8 elections. We also have Lauren Lobster, who was born in 1991. She is, of course, running a petition to get politicians as well as government to be held accountable for what she sees as a failure and a lack of protection of gender as well as sexual health rights. And then we have Mona Lisa Bango, who is a co-founder of the Nomzamo Club. Thank you so much for coming, Mona Lisa. And then we have Nicole Rudolph, who's 31 years old and very eager to vote in this year's elections. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Okay, so I want to find out firstly what you guys, girls, are going to be doing on the 8th of May. We know who's registered to vote, who isn't. So I want to know already, if you're not going to be voting, why? And if you have chosen to vote, what's top of mind for you now? Namhla, we know already you haven't registered to vote. So tell us why.
I actually don't see the need to vote because, as I said earlier on, that I wasn't taught, or I wasn't taught the basics of the fundamental foundation of politics. So I think the system has and the curriculum has failed me in that sense. However, I have grappled along and I have acquired knowledge through self-studying and what I've heard as well. As I'm a first-year journalism student, so politics are something that are part of me now. So I still don't see the need to vote at this moment of time, but other than that, I'll probably consider it. So
anything can change.
Yeah.
Probably consider it. I mean,
Yes.
what's your view on people who say, who are quite critical and negative about young people like yourself who have chosen, I guess, not to register to vote, and saying that, you have the information out there, you have Twitter, you have the internet. Why is it that you haven't tried to do so, go out and actually register to vote?
It goes back because we weren't actually taught about it. And it also goes back, you weren't actually, like in my high school, I went to modern school where there was no history. And the only history that you could get was in grade 8, where they were taught you about the Nazis and the wars in the world. Yeah, no local history. So I feel if I had that kind of information, that background, if I had maybe history as a subject choice, that local history as a subject choice, being exposed to ideologies, being exposed to what manifestos are, I feel that I wouldn't have the drive and the determination to go out there and register.
Okay, well, Lauren, you are actively involved in this. I mean, you're petitioning politicians and government. You're holding them to account for various things and specifically focusing on the protection of gender and sexual health rights. So let's talk about your vote and what's going to inform that.
I think it's quite difficult, even if you do have knowledge on our history and, how important a vote is, it's still difficult to know where to place the vote. Our campaign that we're currently running is looking at reproductive justices and rights and having access to that, and whose political party ticks what boxes and adheres to it in their manifestos, because we see the EFF pushing decriminalization of sex workers, but they use the terms legalizing, which doesn't give any laws, doesn't really protect the workers or anything. So they're not actually behind it. We see like DA gives money towards safe legal abortions, but they don't actually implement it, and they don't actually back it or put it in their mandates. And we see, like, because I'm on that side of it, I currently see what's lacking, but I don't see what political party is kind of leading the way, firstly for protection of women, or for LGBTQIA rights, or for sex workers' rights, or for access to sanitary products for young girls. I mean, former president, in 2011, Jacob Zuma said, you know, basic sanitary products should be accessible. It's a human right, and we haven't seen that implemented. Yes, the tax has been, you know, cancelled, but so I myself, even though I have knowledge and history, and I see how important it is to vote, and I see that especially brown and black people fought for me to be able to vote, so I have to vote. But do I do a cancellation of my votes? Do I choose a smaller party?
Yeah. I'm interested to know why you think we are at this point politically, you know, where there are clear issues that are related to women, but it doesn't seem as if there are, you know, political parties that are speaking to it.
Yeah. I think that political parties are trying to quickly add to their manifestos what they see is lacking and trending. You know, whether that be for student fees to be less or to be free, or to be like, you know, for fees must fall, or whether that be quickly let's put in, you know, a clause for LGBTQIA plus community so that we get those voters. And it's very much about let's get their voters. But I don't think it's a copy and paste system. So they're not actually listening to the South African, especially the youth. We're going, why do we still have to walk to a toilet? Why do we still have to be in the communities? Why do we still not have access? Why do learners still have to stay off school because they cannot afford sanitary products? And then it's going, cool, we'll add that, yes, we'll add that. But then when it comes down to votes, we vote for them, and then whether it just be the ruling party or whether it be the parties of the Western Cape, you know, who do we hold responsible? So it feels like they just put it in there so that it's covered and that they get more votes. But then, yeah.
Mona Lisa, you know, you're also in touch with girls, young girls as well. You're actively involved in getting them to play their part, to be seen, to be heard. Are you going to be voting? And from what you've heard, because you talk to a lot of young girls, what for you will be the deciding factors?
I will be voting, and I agree with what Lauren is saying, that you're kind of looking at who ticks off all the boxes in kind of the right way. And for me, I'm looking at a political party that is forthright with you know, young women, and giving young women a space in development of their communities and their societies, and ultimately their country. And for me, I feel that, you know, with young women, especially in communities, they really need to kind of feel that they have a part, that they can play a part, that they can take charge and kind of take that power. So I'm definitely, you know, it's kind of difficult, as Lauren is saying, because I haven't seen or heard of any political party right now that is kind of advocating more for young women, especially. It's kind of like, you know, we'll support them, but at the time when they're elected, then, you know, we're not sure what's going to happen.
But why do you think that is the case? Why is it that we find ourselves in a position where, you know, women are struggling to pinpoint at least one or two political parties that are really about women and for women all the way through?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's what's been happening. I mean, with the ANC, for example, we've had cases of women abuse with their senior members, but not, you know, we're still kind of waiting for the sanctioning to happen, and we're not really sure if they're really advocating you know, the elimination of domestic abuse and gender-based violence. So it's kind of, who do you trust? You're not really sure, and you're turning back on your word. So that's how I personally feel. Yeah.
Okay, well, Nicole, you interestingly say you're registered to vote, but you know which party you won't be voting for. So I'd like to know, I mean, you've not made a decision though, which party you're actually going to be voting for, but you know what's the no-no. Are you able to tell us who you're not going to be voting for?
Well, at the moment, the party I won't be voting for is the DA. Excuse me. And the reason for that is simply because I was looking at this entire affordable housing debacle, you know, with people like, or organizations like Reclaim the City and others having to fight with our local government from selling off property in the CBD, so, you know, and having the entire area gentrified and pushing out poor people. So it's a difficult decision to make, I think, because I'm not sure if I'll be giving, when I look at the top 3 parties, I'm not sure who I'll be giving my vote to. I don't really think it would be any of them, to be honest, because I mean, you were asking about sort of gender-based politics, and there's no party, I think, that has an actual plan as to what they'll be doing about gender issues in our country. So everybody's sort of like, okay, we have to do better. We have to start doing better. We have to do better by women. You know, the people affected most by poverty are black women, but what's the plan? There doesn't seem to be one. So, I mean, it's the party I won't be voting for, the whole DA thing. I think it's also because of where I live. I'm from Manenberg, and I see a lot of poverty. I see a lot of violence happening. People mostly affected are women, and women don't have access. We don't have, you know, access to education. We don't. Everything is a struggle, and it doesn't make sense to me that it's that way because. Sorry, I'm having difficulty articulating myself, but it's just when I think about it, you know, if we had a proper plan in place, if our political parties were actually interested in making sure that our country progresses, they would focus on women. I mean, if women are the most affected, why is there no plan for women?
Yeah, I mean, Nicole, it sounds like land is a very big part of, you know, what you're using to determine which political party you will be voting for. Of course, you were saying not the Democratic Alliance, but if you look at our ruling party, the African National Congress, and how they've handled issues of land, particularly in Alexander Township, you know, residents saying that we've been trying to get access to land as well.
You even have it here, I think, with District 6 and the land claims that are taking, well, they want to know why so long. So
I'm interested to know, are you looking at smaller political parties? It's actually a question that we've asked Y Talks listeners, that if you're not getting what you want from the big 3 political parties, are you looking to smaller parties for that?
I am actually. I had a look at Patricia de Lille's new party, Good. I also feel like it's very slogany. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. The thing that I'm worried about is I don't want to waste my vote. You know, voting was something that it was hard earned in our country. A lot of people fought for it. A lot of people died for it, and I don't want to put my vote with a party that would basically be prevented from doing almost any change because they didn't garner enough votes. I don't want to waste it. But then at the same time, none of the, I mean, I mentioned the DA that because I feel very strongly about the affordable housing thing, but I can't, I mean, the EFF, a lot of their policies make sense to me, but then again, when it comes back to gender politics, it's again the idea we'll do better. And, you know, if women were marching the other day, I saw a headline, I can't remember about what, and I thought, okay, that's a really strong showing, that's great, but again, what are your policies? What are you going to be doing for poor women in this country?
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like, you know, there's a whole host of, yes, women are important, but you actually, all of you are waiting for something tangible. I mean, Namtla says, where they've wanted the youth vote, when we had a chat on our election buzz,
Yeah.
she hasn't seen anyone actually come to campus and actually try and speak to, let alone young women, speak to youngsters themselves. So you have to wonder, what are political parties, what are they actually doing? Everyone's saying that this is a quieter election than we've actually seen previously. So I think I want to know from you, okay, you may or may not vote. I don't even know if you have time to register after this. I don't know if the door is closed now, but I mean, your mum and your siblings and your friends as well. What would be the game changer for you? What would be the thing? If we have to talk about the state of women, what worries you most about the state of women in South Africa?
What worries me most is actually the amount and the pressure that they feel in the society and how they are violated. I was even listening to KFM this morning that every 25 seconds a woman is raped. So those are the things that worry me, not knowing that you'll wake up and you'll go out of the door and what will happen to you in our society. So we're generally not safe at all. We don't feel safe as women. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of our discussion. I've had an absolute ball here in Cape Town, of course, speaking to you, young women, especially my colleague here, Ivelka. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
we made
letting me sit in.
a TV appearance on eNCA.